Yo, welcome to NS9, the special edition for the NL Rookie of the Year show. What's up, everyone? I'm Anthony DiNardo. With me, we've got Tyler, of course, and special guest, we've got the Pirates bullpen catching coach, Jordan Funky Comadena.
Yep.
What's going on?
Oh, good to be here. This is an exciting night. Hopefully exciting night. Potentially exciting.
Nothing but good vibes. It is an exciting night. It will be an exciting night.
Yep.
It's exciting no matter what. It's another celebration of Paul Skenes.
That's it. You're right. It is.
Yeah, we ride Paul Skenes out pretty hard, which he allows us to. So that's what's good.
Sure, that's right.
Hey, it's not just us; it's the entire MLB as well. Plus, all the national media at this point. Everybody's riding out Paul Skenes.
Yeah, ride the wave. That's as we were talking before the show started. I think given what he's done this year, how the aura surrounding him before the year started, everybody anticipating him getting to Pittsburgh, what he did when he got there, earning the opportunity to start the All-Star game, maintaining his level of dominance and just result through the end of the year. To me, it's a fitting end for him to just put a nice bow on his rookie campaign and be named the Rookie of the Year. To me, it's a slam dunk.
Well, I don't think either of us disagree with you there about being a slam dunk. And let's give props to the runner-up for 2024, soon to be runner-up. Like we're talking about Jackson Merrill, like an outstanding season he had. 5.4 WAR I think he had, 5.3 WAR, about 292, 326, slugged 500, 130 weighted runs created plus. The defense was there. Such a good season from him. But Paul Skenes is a rookie also.
Yeah. I feel like watching baseball and over the years, like there's always one or two in both leagues, like position players that just have great years. Like they burst onto the scene. Teams haven't really figured out how to pitch them and get them out, and they're just they bring a lot of energy or spark to whatever team they're with, and they just ride the wave and they have a great year. And it's obviously impressive and significant that they're able to accomplish that. But what Paul did this year has in many facets has never been done before, and so that's hard to argue with, and like I was telling you before, jokingly, I saw something at the end of the year when people were starting to speculate about this stuff, like, and I think if you think about it, there's a lot of truth to it. Like in 20 years, you're going to be asking, if Paul doesn't win it, who won Rookie of the Year, Skenes Rookie Year? Like that's going to be the question, given the trajectory for him, moving forward to be a really generational type talent for not only the Pirates, but for baseball, like his social media presence through Livy and, just like their social cultural connection to the fan base and to, the country, the baseball community, and just generally young people around the country. Him starting the All-Star game, his success, the 1-1 tag that's obviously attached to him, and just how he's gone about things. He's just been a consummate pro. He's a great kid. He's had a lot of success. He had a really strong year, and for all those reasons, to me, he's the winner.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Merrill had just a fantastic year. And you take that every day out of not only a rookie, but any vet outfielder you can get. Like,
yeah,
he's a dude. Don't get me wrong. He's a dude. At no point could you say that Jackson Merrill was the best outfielder in baseball. There's many points you can say Paul Skenes was the best pitcher in baseball.
That's true too. That's a good way to put it. You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, you take Paul against anybody without a doubt, and would make a very strong argument based on what you're seeing from him every time he takes the ball that he's as good as anybody in the game, let alone just his rookie class, peers. You're right. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of piggyback off Tyler. Look at the Cy Young. I mean, that's the thing too. Like, he's also in the nomination for Cy Young. Is he going to win it? That's to be determined. I'm very confident he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I'm not as confident for Cy Young. I mean, Chris Sale had an amazing season, but I also the main reason for that is because of the innings. Like, that's where it renders him. Chris Sale did it for the entire season, but honestly, you look at Chris Sale and Paul Skenes. Paul was the better pitcher. They're very similar. There's a lot of similarities between the two. But like, I feel like Paul does beat him out. It's just he only had 133 innings where not much more. But like, that's what we're talking about. You can't say that. You can't say, well, Jackson Merrill is one of the top 3 outfielders, in the NL.
Yeah. No, that's a great argument. I hadn't necessarily heard it positioned that way, but that's a very intriguing thought, because you're right. I mean, like you said, he's as good as anybody, and in a one game scenario, I'll take him any day of the week.
They got to it early here.
Is it? Oh, did they just announce it?
It is announced.
Well, there it is, ladies and gents. Paul Skenes.
He did it.
So we don't have to riot.
Him and Livy are on TV right now. And
awesome.
Paul with the beard.
Yeah, good for him. That's awesome. Well deserved. Like I said, I mean, just a fitting end to his, historic and successful rookie season. And it was great to, get to know him and work with him, throw and, play catch with him, catch his sides throughout the year, and just get to know him as a guy, and watch him and just be a part of his process, is something that I will certainly, remember from his rookie year and from last year, and just being a part of his process and watching him go about his work. He's super detail oriented, super regimented and organized with exactly what he wants to do, super in tune with his body, knows exactly what he needs and wants to get out of each day. Just very intentional with everything that he does. And so it was cool to, learn that process with him and allow him, for me to provide him feedback if he asks, and taking that obviously extremely seriously and giving him, my assessment or feedback from what I'm seeing when it's coming at me, which I always thought was really cool. Anytime a pitcher asks me, I think it's cool, and for Paul to do that and give me that opportunity to work with him and be a part of his season, super cool. And excited to see where he continues to take his career. Excited for next year already. With the the staff, the starting rotation that we're going to be able to put together, with him being a huge part of that, obviously, for a whole season. Right from the jump is going to be awesome. And couldn't be happier for him. Really cool.
So you talked there just a little bit about his regiment and the way he handles it day to day. What's different about him day to day and the way he goes about things than some maybe other guys? Obviously, he's super talented.
Yeah.
But the discipline, I feel like, is something different.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of discipline incorporated in his routine, from just, the aqua bag stuff, the stuff that people sees, the plyo balls and the aqua bags and throwing the football and like all that stuff. And a lot of guys have some sort of plyo ball routine or, whatever they do. That just happens to be what Paul likes and utilizes. But, I think it's more than that. It's just how he takes care of his body, how he conditions, how he lifts, how he, allots the amount of time he needs to activate his body before he goes out and plays catch, or before he goes out for his side day, for his start day, whatever it is. Like, there is no let up or lax in anything, right? I mean, it's like, this is my routine and this is what I'm going to do, period. Like, there's no like, I'm just going to go play catch today. Like, I don't need to do that. No, like that's not, is it part of the routine or is it not? And if it's subtracted from the routine, there is an intentional reason behind why, okay, I don't think I need this anymore. I can maybe do something like this and this will take care of that, and boom. But nothing is done by chance. Nothing is done off a cuff or by whim. Like, it's all calculated. It's all mapped out. And he executes each day's plan to a T. And it's really cool to see that and watch him go through this, and it speaks to his maturity, his leaning into just being a pro in general. Like, the way he operates is far beyond, the average 22-year-old, like what you're seeing from him is what you might expect from like Aroldis Chapman, who's 36 or 37. And Chappie is very similar to Skenes in that they are super dialed all the time. Chappie's lifting, he's conditioning, he's throwing, he's stretching, like all that stuff. It's all like regimented count, and you can see how he looks, and you can see what he's able to do. And he's 37 years old. He's throwing 105 still. Like, the guy's an animal. Paul is very similar in that it's all scheduled, mapped out, calculated. This is the day, this is tomorrow, this is the next day, this is the next day, and it doesn't miss, and so and then when adjustments are made, like I said, there's a reason behind the adjustment. And so it was just really cool to see firsthand.
That's one thing. I guess you kind of answered what I was going to ask you here to this degree, but I mean, the fact that he is 22 and doing this, we talked to Jay Johnson right after he got drafted, and this is a lot of stuff that he was talking about. And again, for this age to come in, this is like TB12 type of things, like what he does reminds me so much like Tom Brady and the regimen. And this is what I do. But Tom Brady wasn't doing that when he entered the league. It took like a decade more or less for like TB12 to be something. And here's Paul Skenes walking in day one. And like you talk about, this is the regimen. Here's what I do. And so like, what I was going to ask you is like, have you seen anyone around his age come close to that?
And be as just regimen detail oriented as him?
Yes. Yeah.
No, not that I can remember off the top of my head. I mean, there's, no. I mean, I would say no. I mean, he's a special guy, and what he's able to do and what he's able to hold himself accountable to, that like the level of expectation that he sets on himself, that he holds himself to is incredibly high, and an uncommon probably, thing, that, like you said, I think you see guys get to that point, certainly, guys that are around the league for a long time in any sport. You don't stick around for that long because, it's not an accident, right? Like, you're doing something right. And I think a lot of guys, like you said, learn over time, this is what I need to do. I need more of this, less of this. I need to this amount of time to this throughout their day. And you mature and figure those things out over time. For him to come in, and as a 22-year-old kid and have this, and I'm sure it'll adjust and he'll adapt over time, certainly. But for him to have the groundwork for what he's been able to do already in place at such a young age and such an early point in his career is certainly very, very impressive.
And I guess this probably would be unfair to ask of you and you just mentioned that things will probably change over time. Like, at some point his body's going to need a break, maybe a little more. He might need to lay off something, but just in an estimation, how many guys are as detail oriented, just percentage wise, as Paul Skenes is as a pitcher? Even vets.
Boy.
I'm not asking name names, just of what you've seen.
Yeah. I don't know. That's kind of a
loaded.
Tough question, because that's a tough question. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are,
but are they as very, like, strict to their detail?
Yeah. I mean, I think Paul is such an outlier just because his process daily process is very, extensive.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen many guys who have, like more stuff throughout the day as him in terms of just like body prep and activation, and just like there's a lot that goes into it, which to me makes it that much even more impressive that like he doesn't miss on any of this stuff all the time. Like it's like an hour and a half of like stretching and warming up to go play catch, and so like it's a lot, and it would be very easy to just be like, like I'm just gonna go throw, I don't need to, but he never does that, and so I don't know if there's too many guys that I've been around. Like Garrett Cole was that way. Garrett Cole was like Paul, like super detail oriented, super smart, dialed in, super in tune with his body. Like he's very similar to Garrett. I will say that. And I was around Garrett in 16, 17. But he's similar to him in that regard, for sure. Like super dialed with everything all the time. Like no business, no nonsense, all business all the time at the park. That was G. That's Paul, and so, and it's part of what makes them great. They're just ultimate fierce competitors all the time, and they expect excellence from themselves all the time. And they prepare in such a way that puts them in a position to be excellent all the time, and that's just how they are. But to be honest with you, I mean, relievers are kind of different just because relievers are just different people. Like their routines are just different. Their day is different.
You can call them weird. It's fine.
Well, they're not weird.
we love our weirdos.
It's a special breed in the bullpen. It's a special breed.
I know. You guys are all different.
They're different. From a starting standpoint, like Tyone was pretty similar, like was super, consistent with his, routine and his process, and like really smart guy, real, in tune with what he wants to feel and what he wants to do. So, I don't know. There were some other guys like Liriano was that way, super pro, super dialed in, just great. Jose Quintana was that way, just pro, dialed in, doesn't miss every day, like has a plan, executes it. So, I mean, there's been guys over the years. I don't know.
I mean, but the fun part though
like
there,
that,
Jordan, is that you named a bunch of really good pitchers.
Well, and there's a reason behind that. And that's kind of goes back to my previous point. Like, it's not an accident that when I'm not even talking about performance. I'm talking about process. And the correlation obviously trends to, they're pretty good. Like that's not an accident, right? So, I think you could do that on the position player side too. It would be the same thing. And so those pitchers that are all in that class, it's not an accident. Like I said, I mean, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of dedication, there's a lot of intent behind the things that those guys do, and it puts them in a position when, the time comes for them to have success,
Well, I'm glad you brought up Cole, because I was going to segue into that here also. I mean, there's certainly some talent that's come around, with you being the Pirates. Obviously, Garrett Cole, Tyler Glasnow comes to mind to talk about arm talent and stuff point.
Yeah.
You mentioned Tyone. Mitch Keller came up. He had his struggles, but he found his way. What do you see out of Paul that's made? And I say this too because Tyler hasn't really put it all together, but we know the talent's there. But Garrett Cole certainly has. Is there anything that stands out to with Paul to compare to Garrett, or maybe better than that?
I just think for Paul, like his ability to, obviously the velocity, intrigues everyone, and, provides him some additional room for error, for any pitcher that's pitching at extreme high velocity, gives you more room for error when you miss over the plate. So people are intrigued by that and like that. But Paul's ability to pitch and change speeds and read swings, and his ability to prepare and set hitters up and really just throw his entire mix at any point in the count to anybody, left or right, is such a unique and, valuable commodity. which sets him up to have success consistently over the course of the season, because he can go days where he might not have a pitch or two here or there, but he's got other weapons, and his ability to set hitters up and move other pitches around in the zone and still go and compete. Like, there was plenty of outings that you could go back and look, and he had nothing. And he went 6 2/3 and gave up 3 hits and a run or something. Like, man, he didn't have anything. Like, he grinded his freaking ass off to get through that, into the 6th inning or whatever, and that's going to be. And then there's days where he goes out and is like, dude, if he had 25 more pitches, he would have thrown a no-hitter today. Like 100%. They had no chance, like 0 chance.
We all recall those few games.
Yeah. And there were some days like that. And that's just how it goes. And so pitching on those days are easy. I mean, that's that flow state where you're just in the zone, and it's like, you guys got no shot, and right from the jump, and it's just your best stuff. Here it comes. You got no chance. But what makes the other guys great is those days when you don't have it, and you still post, and you cover your innings, and you give your team a chance to win. And his days where he didn't have it, it was still like 6+ and like a run is like him not having it. Getting clipped in the 1st inning on somebody jumping something and hitting a homer in the 1st, and then he kind of has to settle down, and he grinds through 6 and gives up that 1 run, and it's like, man, he didn't really have it today.
And still struck out 8.
Exactly, right. That's right. And so it's like, okay, and then it's just back to the drawing board, get back into that routine, day off, throw, side, whatever, and here we go, and we're building up to the next start, and it's the same thing, and then it's another great start, and he might not have it again. But his ability to just never take whatever the result was from the previous outing and have it drift into, it's like every week or every start, every rotation just is a blank slate. He would be intentional with something in his side day, to whether it was to kind of correct something from the previous outing or to enhance or really look for something to exploit or utilize in the next start coming up with the next lineup that he's going to face, or any combination of that. He would, attack that, boom, knock it out, and we move on, day off, then game time, and it would just continue to reset. And it was pretty awesome, and like super consistent. It just lines up with everything that I've said, his ability to compartmentalize each part of his day, each part of his week leading up to his start day. And then when he gets the ball, it's time to post, and he's going to give us a chance to win every time he takes the ball.
Yeah. I don't want to misquote him here, but I feel like I heard him on Pardon My Take saying that he learned that you're going to have 10 really good starts where you feel great, 10 where you just feel fine, and then 10 where you just don't have it.
Yep.
The fact that a guy that's 22 years old already gets that,
Sure.
and truthfully, you can tell just by watching him pitch, he does get that. Like, everybody can say that. Everybody can hear that and repeat it, but we actually saw him do it, because there were clearly days he did not have it.
Yeah.
And he still just grinded through it.
Yeah.
And that, like, you talked about him just being a pitcher and being able to read swings. How many 22-year-olds are going to have a button on their belt where they can call their own pitches when they want something?
Yeah.
I don't know many.
Yeah. No, and I think honestly, some of it, I mean, he's obviously a student of the game. He's a junkie, baseball junkie, and prepares like crazy. He knows exactly what he wants to try to do, but I know he still loves catching and like hitting, and like he's a baseball player that just happens to pitch. Like, he can hit. He's obviously, everybody sees him throw the football. Like, he's an athlete. He's a baseball player who's just a really great pitcher. And him and I talk catching a lot. Like, it's fun talking catching with him, because he's super dialed in on that and wants to know like the stuff that they're doing. And we would talk about like, what would you do with me if I was catching right now? And that reading swings and just feeling out hitters in the box, like that's what great catchers do too. Like, they have a feel and a sense of like where guys are at in the box, how their body reacts on takes, and how they react to certain pitches, where they're at, and maybe what that's telling you as to what they're looking for. That's what baseball players like pick up on that stuff. and really, and pitchers that are very in tune with the game and like those little intricate details that allow you to gain an edge in a certain situation, and that's Paul. He's a competitor. He's a baseball player. He was a catcher for a long time at a very high level before really going pitcher full time. And like all of that, I think lends itself to his ability to just helping him navigate through a game. He's got a lot of experiences to draw from, even at his young age. And he doesn't miss an opportunity this year in the big leagues to really hone in on those skills and to continue to sharpen that lens because he knows it's important, of course.
That's a really good perspective. Jordan, the Pirates draft Paul Skenes. We know the talent, right? You've heard about Paul Skenes. You saw a little bit of in the minors, right? Now it's mid-February 2024. Pitches and catches report. At what point did you really look at him and say, you know what, this is the real deal?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't see him a ton in spring training. I remember catching him warming up over in Port Charlotte last spring before he went in one of those games there, and just talked to him very little. He's kind of quiet and just minding his own business in the bullpen, and went in. I think he was only maybe down there an inning. I think he came down from the dugout and was down there an inning and warmed up and went in. So didn't have much interaction with him. And to be honest, I don't think that might've been the only time I caught him, like during spring training, or even really saw him. Like I know he threw some sides that he was over there and just watching him, obviously when you first see him, you see how big he is, of course. And so, naturally it's like, well, that's a major league pitcher. That's what it's supposed to look like. He's just a thoroughbred, right? Just big, physical, strong, fluid, easy movements. Like that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay. So you see that, I take that at face value. And then I didn't really, we're obviously in it. You see the stat lines, you see some highlight clips of him throwing in the minors and getting to Altoona and Indy. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's obviously really good. AAA is not nearly, what it once was, or not even remotely close to what the big leagues are. Right. So, it's obviously impressive. It's great. Hopefully we can see him soon. I'm sure he can help us. I think that's what everybody's, or at least my sentiment was, like, great. Like how many more starts does he need to go 5 innings, or like, what's his pitch count? Like what's the build up? Like, is he ready to the next rotation? Is he going to be here or what? Like, let's get him up here and let's rock and roll. So then he gets there, and that first start, I think we might have talked about it on one of the other podcasts, but like just the energy in the park, just the engagement from the fan base that whole day. Like the place was packed for him to come out for his warm up routine. The energy in the crowd, that first inning when he's punched out the first 2 batters, was like incredible. It was a sellout crowd and just like so awesome, and so as you continue to watch him, I mean, it doesn't take long, obviously, to be like, whoa, like this is pretty good, Right. And then it's just like, he's in the mix with us. And so it's like, okay, I respect what you do. I'm not in awe of you, or, like, we got a job to do. Let's get our work in today and let's go. He's just another guy here, so, which is cool for us, because I always think, how fortunate I am, to be able to have a relationship with someone like that, and to interact with them, and to learn from them, and to just associate and just be, like I said, be a part of his process. Like, how cool, and, I remember when we were in Houston, we went and played catch. He had a thing. We went over to Rice and played catch over at Rice just for a day, and then went back over to the ballpark. And, there's like a camp over there. And so all these kids are just like totally in awe. Like, they can't even speak to him. They're just, Paul, they're like, can't believe, like, is that really Paul Skenes throwing on the field? Like, we were just over there. And just to watch like stuff like that, if we're getting on the bus or we're traveling or we run into him somewhere, or we're out and about and people are, wanting a moment of his time or whatever. And like, to me, it's like, oh, that's okay, Paul, like, good luck with the crowd of people over there or whatever. Like, to me, it's just another guy. Like, it's, that's Paul. So it's pretty cool, and even my daughter, when we were in Chicago, Livy was with him and she met him, and my daughter had on like this bright purple lipstick that she had got. Like, it was a statement lipstick. And so we go walking outside. My daughter's 9. We go walking outside to go to dinner, and Livy's there with Paul. And so we just introduce them and they're talking just for a minute. And Livy's like, oh, I love your lipstick, And so when we left, I was like, Kinley, Livy Dunn just said she loved your lipstick. Like, I don't know if you exactly know what that means, but that's pretty cool. Like, you go ask your friends at school, I guarantee they know who Livy Dunn is, and tell her that she liked your lipstick, And so just little stuff like that is just kind of neat, to see and be around.
Do you remember the first time you cut the splinker?
I do, and it was over in Port Charlotte that day, and it was.
Did you about crap yourself?
So it was not as refined as it.
Okay.
So this is a good story. So we're over in Port Charlotte, and he's just rifling balls at me like nitro heaters, getting warmed up, and so here comes the splinker. Okay, and I have no idea what this looks like, what it does, like, and he's about to go in this game.
Yikes!
So, I faction myself to have good hands, and like I don't really have too much trouble catching any of these guys. Like, I really enjoy it. I find it to be super fun and exciting and all that. But there's a handful of guys, Glasnow would be on that list, where they start like, okay, this is you got to lock it in here because this ball's going to come 1 billion miles an hour. So Paul's like, all right, splinker, and he throws it, and it's got like this weird kind of like, it looks like it wants to cut, but it doesn't. It's weird. Like, every one of them had a different seam orientation, and like the perception of what you thought the ball was going to do, and it didn't do it. It would like do the opposite. So this is like in March, okay? And so after the game, I think I went to maybe Grant Cook, who might have been down there and who had caught him a lot, and then I went and talked to Oscar, and I'm asking him about this splinker, and I'm like, this is what I'm seeing, but it's not doing what my eyes are telling me it's supposed to do. It's like I've never seen. Well, and this is, to be honest with you, this is before I even knew that it was a splinker. Like, I didn't know what it was. It was just like, whatever this pitch is. Like, okay. So I go and I'm telling them, I'm asking both of these guys, and they're giving me this, like, Grant's giving me the same feedback. Like, yeah, it looks like it's going to go one direction and it goes the other direction. Like, it's just, you just get used to it. I'm like, okay.
Just get used to it.
Yeah. So, okay. And then Oscar's like, yeah, it's a splinker. It's like what Jose Duran with Minnesota throws at like 102, but that's Paul's. He's like, it's this like combination of this grips. So I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. I've never seen it before because I've never seen it before. So that makes sense. Like, okay, I've never seen that before. So now we fast forward into the season, and that's now is like his bread and butter. I think this was something he was still working out in the spring. It wasn't something that he had in college. Like, that was a new pitch. And so as we get into the spring, now it's more of like a split. I mean, it's a splinker. It's like a split 2-seam kind of. So now it has like his arm side down kind of sinking action, like a turbo kind of sinker, like a Clay Holmes kind of sinker. That's got that like almost left-handed slider type of action to it. But then some of them will be a little bit more true with more dive. He'll occasionally cut one, but for the most part, it's got like a sinker type orientation and shape. So from a catching standpoint, like you can really sell out to like, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to do. And then, if it deviates from that, it's usually within reason that you can just, handle it. And you do certainly get used to it, but every once in a while he throws some real like demon splinkers that you're just like, whoa, man, like that was nasty,
That would probably be my favorite hobby if I could throw that hard and be that awesome, is to just mess with my bullpen coach. and just throw him a bunch of junk and be like, "What was that?
That's messed up." Yeah,
You didn't catch that."
because that's never a great time for the catcher when guys are just up there like, "Hey, tell me what this does. Let me know what you think of this." And you're just like, "Oh God, like this is gonna go 52 feet."
Hold on, let me make sure my cup's in.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'll let you know. Yeah. I'm going to work on this splitter. Let me know what you think of this. I'm going to throw it as hard as I can. Okay.
Hey, let me bury this curveball as hard as I can. 5 feet in front of the plate.
Right. That's right.
That would be me.
Yeah.
But I'm not that talented.
No, but that's is you.
That's the Splinker story. That's a good one.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, like obviously everyone knows of Paul, but I don't think anyone knows Paul, and he seems very reserved. Is that really his identity? Is there any stories that you can bring up about Paul Skenes, or is like he just about his business?
Well, he's certainly about his business, but he's also got a playful side too, and there's a lot of personality there, of course. I mean, he's fun. He's great. In the chance that you get him maybe the day after a start and it's his no throw day, he'll come out and joke around and just kind of hang out and chill and shoot the breeze with you and keep it loose and light. And then those other days you just kind of allow him to initiate any type of joking or whatever, because it's time to work. When he comes outside and he gets into the bullpen, it's just some small talk and ready to get to work and knock it out, and then maybe have some fun after. But he's great. I wouldn't say he's dry or lacking personality by any means. Like he's solid and he'll make you laugh. He's a good dude.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
You okay, Tyler?
Yeah, I think my internet just cut out on me real quick. I guess they didn't want me to ask any more Paul Skenes questions, but we'll keep rolling with it.
You were there. It looked like you're swatting a fly. That's a concern.
No, the internet decided that, Northeast Ohio doesn't always treat me well. But here we are. Soon enough, though, we'll be in Bradenton, Florida, and maybe chatting some more baseball with Jordan. But until then.
Yeah, there you go. It'll be interesting opening up the season at Steinbrenner Field playing the Rays. I was thinking about that's like best case scenario for us is like opening, because that's our opening day, right? Is it Tampa and then we go to Miami, or is it Miami then Tampa?
I think it's flipped. I think it's Miami then Tampa.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
If it's Tampa, I don't know. If it's Tampa, because it's like that's just like another spring training game. Like you don't get accustomed to the whole, routine of whatever. Like it's just going back to Steinbrenner Field. We'll probably play there 3 or 4 times during spring training. It's just a different team, as opposed to going like in July or something, and that'd be kind of weird. Going and playing at a spring training site.
But Jordan, I do have an actual question. Like, just as a pitching nerd here myself, what's the nastiest pitch you've had to catch?
Ooh. It's a good question. I don't know if there's one specific. I mean, there's probably like a pitch for multiple different people. I mean, like Chapman is gross. I mean, he's unbelievable. I don't know how he ever gets hit. Like he is so filthy and throws so hard, and his stuff is so nasty. Like it's unbelievable. I mean, you could see how he's, obviously he still throws really hard, but like he's had so much success. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest ever. You can see why. His splitter is just devastating. His slider, his fastball, like his 2-seam fastball is ridiculous. Like it's just like a runner that he throws to righties, like up and away.
But do you have an off the wall one that nobody would expect? You
know who's really like Kyle Nicholas's curveball is absolutely filthy.
Okay. Yeah, that thing's nasty.
Like when it's on, it is 88 miles an hour, 12.6. Like it's absolutely filthy. And he just rips the shit out of it. So, and he doesn't always have it, but when he does, and he has it quite a bit, I think he's got pretty good feel for it. But when it's on, man, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like if you would have been there and like you caught Liriano, but like that 2013 slider Liriano, that one probably would have done some damage.
Yeah. I mean, Felipe Vasquez was up there, just his like general repertoire, like similar to Chapman. It's just like this guy's just on another level, pitching at 100 with the shapes and spin that he could create, his changeup. Glass now would be in that his fastball curveball combination, just ridiculous. Clay Holmes, his sinker is devastating, fun to catch, just absolutely filthy.
All right, we're getting to the point where I now know Jordan's kind of crazy because he finds it fun to catch.
Yeah, Clay was one of my most fun to catch. I really enjoyed catching him. Like, I love the guys that are just absolutely nasty that can throw strikes. The guys that spray it, they're not, it's not as, that's a lot of work. I mean, that's like self-preservation that it gets to, I want to,
that makes sense.
I want to rip balls. I want to like catch them clean for you, make it look good. Like I want to see nasty stuff around the zone. So like
you're still working on that framework.
Oh yeah. I'm ripping everything. It's game type receiving that's going on with me down there.
I love that. I love when the bullpen catcher's over there still.
Oh yeah, we're ripping. We're always ripping. We want our guys ripping. I'm right there with them. We want the pitchers. They love it, and like I love it. So like let's go. And so the guys that can really fill it up and put it around the zone with premium stuff are like a lot of fun to catch.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Ty, you got anything else?
Oh, I'm sure I do, but
who won the American League? They announced that?
Who cares? No. Luis Gil.
Oh, nice.
So actually, 2 pitchers. How about that?
There you go. You're the pitcher.
Yeah.
Solid.
I mean, it's hard to stack up with Paul Skenes this year.
Right. Deserving winner.
Like looking back today, 1 month ago, literally like 1 month ago, the betting odds were like maybe more in favor with Merrill. I feel like they were. And at least 2 months ago, they definitely were. And not much has changed.
Yeah.
Just everybody looked back. It was like, oh yeah, Paul Skenes was really good.
Yeah.
It's funny because like pre-show you talked about like, he had like the bump in the road, and I felt like Tyler and I were on a show and we talked about it specifically. Like, is it going to be Paul or is it going to be Merrill? And I think we both agreed it's probably a Merrill for many reasons. There's that little bit of a bias, and it's like, well, Paul's kind of at like 98 miles an hour right now. He gave up 4 earned runs and then 2 earned runs, like 6 earned runs in back-to-back starts. Like that's, I don't know, maybe he's breaking down here. And then it's like, no, he's only going to give up 2 more earned runs for the rest of the year.
For the record, 98 is bottoming out.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're getting nervous because he's hitting 98.
Right.
And he's allowed 6 earned runs in 2 starts. Again, it's just crazy. Like the perspective of that just sounds so silly. So silly. But
I know
that's how good Paul Skenes is, that makes you nervous.
Yeah.
Maybe here's the downside of his brilliance.
Yeah. That's right. Well, good for him. Good for the Pirates. It's good for the organization, and good for him. So we're proud of him and excited for what's to come for him and for us. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, Jordan, get your ass out there and go play catch with him. Make sure he's in line with next year.
That's right. I know. I wish I could have been there this weekend for the Steelers game and to throw them. It would have been cool, but I'll see him soon enough. He'll be ready to rock and roll. I'll be ready for him. February 13th or something.
He needs a little funky in his life.
Yeah, knock it out. Yeah.
Too much national media right now. We need some more funky.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh, you're from the Pirates. Too much national media.
Let's get back to funky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move over Shohei. Here's Paul Skenes. Cool.
Yep.
Well, Jordan, love you having on. Appreciate everything. And yeah, like Tyler said, we'll be down there in last week of February, so we'll have to meet up. And
Okay.
talk
Cool.
about Paul's newest pitch that's throwing you off.
Yeah. Sounds good. I look forward to it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on.
For sure. Everyone watching, appreciate you guys. We'll be back. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Later, Scouts.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.